Customers who give organizations an A engage in what I call irrational economic decision making. It makes no rational economic sense that somebody would pay $4 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. That's just not rational behavior. You say, Chip, what are you talking about? Well, let me give you an example. If you brewed a gallon of really good coffee in your kitchen, it cost you 80 cents. If you go down to Starbucks and got a gallon of their coffee, you're talking about $64. Is that a markup or what? I mean, think about it. $4 times 16 cups, $64. It makes no rational economic sense that somebody would pay $25,000 for a Harley Davidson, wait a year to get it, and then tattoo the logo somewhere on their body. That's what we're going to talk about. How do you get your guests to tattoo your logo somewhere on their body? So what does it look like? What does it look like? What does that kind of devotion look like? Well, it probably looks something like this. You know, we don't really understand what's going on in that picture. Probably a lot of beer might be involved. But how many of your guests would feel like this? How many of your guests would paint their faces and wear funny hats? That's what a 9 or 10 is like. But I'm going to tell you, it's a lot tougher now to get an A on a customer's report card than it's ever been before, because your customers have changed. Your customers have changed. Guests have changed. What changed your customers? Well, I think several things. First of all, your guests have a lot more choices than they've ever been. And that makes a big difference. I remember when I was growing up, we had one car in my family when I turned 16. So, of course, with one car in the family, you look for every chance to get behind the wheel. And I remember how excited I was when my mother asked me to go down to the grocery store and pick up a loaf of bread. Back then, it was pretty easy. It was all white bread, either made by Sunbeam or Wonder. Last summer, we had a picnic at my house. My wife said, stop by the grocery store and pick up a couple of loaves of bread. I called her on my cell phone from the bread wing. I had no idea a whole wheat came in 45 varieties. Now here's the punchline. The more choices your customers have, the more they look at the experience to make a decision. You know, I was visiting with John Hines at La Quinta property in Augusta, Georgia. And I finished my meeting with him, and I walked out in the parking lot, and I stood there, and I could see 11 limited service hotels within 3 blocks of his property. Customers have a lot more choices. We got to focus on the experience to make a difference. Customers also are a lot smarter. I mean, you think about the last car you bought. You didn't go down to the dealership and just take their word for it, did you? What'd you do? You did your homework. You went on Kelly's, you went on Edmunds, you knew how much your trade-in was worth, how much they paid for their car. Today, customers are a lot smarter. And the internet's obviously done that. Internet's done that. They go online and they look at things. They go, you know, they look at TripAdvisor, and we know when they go on TripAdvisor, they don't look at just a number. They read the reviews, and what are those reviews about? They're not about the pretty pictures. They're about people's experiences. So again, we've got a different kind of guests than we've ever had today. But I think the other thing that's made them different is the fact that they do get great service in little pockets of their life, and they use that experience to evaluate you. Let me say that different. Who is your competition when it comes to the experience you create? Well, that'd sort of be anybody creating experiences, wouldn't it? So, fair or not, your guests compare you to Nordstrom and Disney and fill in the blank with your favorite service provider anywhere in life. And the most challenging part is they don't just compare you globally, they compare you incident to incident. They take any incident and they look for any similar incident to make a comparison. Let me give you my favorite example. Field Express. How many of you use Field Express? I think they do a good job. I've been noticing when that dude drives up at my place, gets out of that van, they got my overnight letter in one hand and a clipboard in the other. This is what I observed coming to my place. In fact, I stopped when I'm making a delivery. I said, I notice you folks run when you make deliveries. And the guy said, oh, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. We're told don't ever run because you look late. But he said, we are told move fast. After all, what's the second word on that side of that van? Now, usually within an hour, I get another delivery. Postal Service. Now, I don't know how it is where you live. Where I live, we think of the Postal Service as like one of those oxymorons. Two words that don't belong in the same sentence. You've heard a lot of those. Married life, you know. Family vacation, there's a new one for you. You say, Chip, that's not a fair comparison because you spent like $14 to get an overnight letter. No, you only pay. But see, the customer doesn't think that way. They go with FedExpress. Why can't the call that toll-free number on that FedExpress air bill for a package pickup and watch what happens? They'll answer that phone before it quits ringing the first time. Try it sometime. Call up FedEx for a package pickup and see if you can get them to make the phone ring twice. I mean, if it rang off the wall, it wouldn't feel like Express, would it? And maybe the next place the customer calls after calling FedEx for a package pickup is your property. See what I'm saying? They don't just compare you globally. They compare you incident to incident. That is raising guest